GM is not expected to finalize that $2 billion deal with Nikola, which was scheduled to close today. Our Phil LeBeau has the latest on that, fresh off of a call with both the Nikola chairman and CEO. Phil.
Carl, these are the first comments on the record from Steve Gursky, who is the chairman of Nikola, as well as Mark Russell, the CEO of Nikola. As you mentioned, the deal with General Motors, it's not going to be closed today. That was the target date, September 30th, but they are still in discussions, and they still may finalize a deal with General Motors. I asked Steve Gursky, given everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks involving Nikola, involving the allegations from Hindenburg Research that this was a house of lies, whether or not he believes that Nikola did enough due diligence and truly represented what this company is all about to General Motors. He said, yeah, we did. Here's what he had to say.
The company's been public for, 4 months? So, we're comfortable with the diligence we did.
So as you take a look at shares of General Motors, keep in mind that it is scheduled to take an 11% stake in Nikola. At least that was the expectation when this deal was arranged starting on September 8th, if it was to close by today. I've been told by people, don't be surprised if General Motors takes a bigger stake in Nikola, given the fact that as you take a look at shares of Nikola, the valuation is far lower now than what it was just a few weeks ago. I think it's down anywhere between 50 and 60%, depending on how you measure it. So there is a change in the valuation of Nikola. But both Gursky and Russell say, look, we are making progress on the fuel cell semi-truck that is being built in Europe. The first 5 prototypes are expected to be coming in the next few weeks. Gursky made it a point of saying, look, I have driven in the fuel cell semi. It is a real vehicle. I know that there is the video of it rolling down the hill, he said, but the vehicle that I was in is a real vehicle. We have a company that, according to Mark Russell, the CEO of Nikola, he says, look, the valuation, it's still an extremely valuable company. But one last note, Carl, the Badger electric pickup truck. Nikola put out a strategy statement today. No mention of the Badger electric pickup truck. I asked Mark Russell and Steve Gursky, is that still the plan, to have General Motors build this? All they said is it's part of the discussions. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not General Motors ultimately says, you know what, that's fine, get rid of that. But we're still interested in the hydrogen fuel cell and battery electric vehicle technology for the semi-truck. So the talks continue.
That's fascinating, Phil, the notion that they would double down. And you're right about the price action on the stock. I mean, it went from 93 in June to less than 20 now. And it's funny, even though we're watching this particular transaction try to close, signs of overall industry demand for the new technologies, whether it's California's new law or Tesla or Walmart tripling their order for the Tesla Semi in Canada. I mean, those continue to come out every day.
Correct. And nobody disputes that the commercial vehicle industry, whether you're talking about Class 7 and 8 semi-trucks, or if you're talking about the consumer vehicles that you and I would go out to a dealership and buy, it's moving towards electric and ultimately someday hydrogen. The question becomes, how quickly does it get there, Carl? It's certainly not going to happen in the next couple of years. The question is, how much growth is there? And that's at the heart of the questions surrounding Nikola's valuation. As you mentioned, the stock is up more than 5% today as they continue their discussions with General Motors.
And, Phil, it's a kind of a fascinating thought experiment if the revelations from Hindenburg had come without this GM deal having been reached, because you could argue that it would have been more devastating as a standalone company, whereas with the participation of GM as a manufacturer and trying to legitimize some of the technology, what might have seemed like it was a dead end actually could have a future simply because GM's there to do what it wants to do, and also has the incentives to get all those EV credits with this deal.
Look, GM holds all the cards right now, Mike, and we've talked about this. I know you and others have talked about this as well. GM holds all the cards right now, and if GM saw no value at all in Nikola, they would walk away from this. And this is not just a matter where Steve Gursky called up Mary Barra and said, hey, you want to put the deal together? Mary Barra is somebody who's very meticulous, and she wants her team to be meticulous as well. So they still see value here. Otherwise, you would see them walking away from this deal.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.